One. What's up, vinyl community? It's your boy Chris coming at you live as always from the Man Cave. Special guest tonight, Tunes Talk episode 3. My boy Joe at the Analog Archive. Say hey, Joe.
Hey, Chris.
All right, man. It's great to have you on. The first couple of episodes I had a couple of guys who didn't, really appreciate jazz to the same extent as I do. So it's great to really have a jazz lover on for this episode. For you guys coming in, the first couple of episodes were kind of like interview type, kind of scenarios. For this one, there's going to be a couple of questions from my boy Joe that are going to be connected to the theme of this episode. And the theme of this episode is the Blue Note 4000 series, which I love, Joe loves. If you like jazz at all, you love. And if you follow me or you subscribe to me, you damn well should love, or else I don't know why it is you even watch me, to be completely honest with you. I'm not that charming. But anyway, cheers to everybody coming at you. Hope you all got a cold beverage. Hope everybody's staying nice and cozy during the quarantine. But we're going to get started. So, Joe, how did you get into vinyl record collecting, my friend?
It was kind of weird. I don't really remember how it happened. It was just all I remember is it was probably 3 years ago, and I'm originally from Rochester, New York, and one of the big places in Rochester is a record store called Record Archive, and it's this huge warehouse type place. And in recent years, they've even added they call it the backroom lounge, and it has a bar back there, and there's a stage for entertainment, and they have like at least 2 or 3 performances during the week. And I think they've just tried to figure out ways to get people to come in, but the place has got so much history to it. It's been around since the 70s, but I remember just going with my friend one day. I'd never been there. I'd heard about it just driving down the highway. You could see it from the highway, and I thought, oh yeah, let's stop in. I didn't really know why I was stopping in with him, but we just kind of went in. And at the time I didn't have a record player, and I was big into playing the guitar at the time. I really was influenced by like Simon and Garfunkel, especially Paul Simon on the acoustic guitar. And so I kind of gravitated towards folk records. And one of the first records I had found was Concert in Central Park, Simon and Garfunkel. It was a live session they did in 1981. It was like a free concert that they did in New York City. And they premiered, or they had all their classic hits like Mrs. Robinson and Bridge Over Troubled Water and all the classics from their albums in the 60s. And just, it was a great kind of first album to get. And from there I ended up just the local Kmart was going out of business. And so I had found a record player in there it was a Victrola, and it was a 3-in-1. I had no idea about records, about turntables, anything like that. And I picked it up, and I was still at college at the time, and I picked up the Simon & Garfunkel one I had just said, and I had Rush Moving Pictures. Those were the 2 first records. So they're just totally different albums, but just really, those were the main kind of influences, main things that I really enjoyed at the time. And I listened to the records, and they sounded okay to me, but the next summer I really started kind of diving deeper into records. And I went back to Record Archive, and I got a vintage turntable, vintage receiver, and then I got some new speakers from Best Buy. They had this part of our Best Buy was this thing called Magnolia Home Theater. So they had this really large entertainment, like home entertainment system area of the store. And I picked up my speakers there, and from there I just kind of kept growing and growing. I found Discogs, which where I live now is the closest record store is probably like 70 miles or so.
Oh,
And
oh
so,
wow, even further than me. Yeah, a lot of
right.
times, yeah, I'll tell
Yeah.
people how far I am from my nearest record store, and they're like, "No way." And I'm like, for me, it's about 40 to 45 miles going north and southbound. Yeah,
Right.
basically directly in the middle. I've got 3 or 4 northbound, about 40, 45 miles in Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't know if you've ever been.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then, oh, awesome. Well, if you're ever down there again, hit me up. And then I've got about 2 or 3 45 miles southbound in Columbia, South Carolina.
Yep.
So, and then the best record stores in South Carolina, in my opinion, are in Greenville, and they're Cabin 4 Records and Horizon Records. So,
Yep.
so but
Yeah.
yeah,
I went to North Carolina actually in February. My brother lives in Raleigh now. He just moved there
oh, I love
last,
Raleigh.
and it was really nice. The weather was much better than it is up here in New York, especially in February. And we took it was my dad, my wife, and I took a day trip to Dylan's shop, Noble Records,
That's right. I remember
and
you telling me about that.
yeah, and it
Unfortunately,
was
it was a day that I had to do my square job.
yes,
There's a lot of people, common misconception. A lot of people think that I work there full time. I wish I could. And I think he even wishes I could. At least he tells
yes,
me he wishes I could. When I'm
yes,
not around, he might be like, God, I'd love to get away. I'd love to get rid of that Chris guy, but he just won't leave me alone.
right, right, yeah. It was a really nice place, and it was refreshing because I haven't been to a lot of record stores. Most of the record stores I've been to have been in like Western New York, so Rochester. Syracuse is considered Central New York, but like places around there. And then when I went to like a wedding in Indianapolis last year. I went to a record store there, and then I went to the ones in North Carolina and a few other places like California. I've been to a few out there, but it was different than a lot of other places I had been to, and I really enjoyed that Dylan prided himself on like vintage records and old
Absolutely.
like used vinyl, because especially when we went my wife and I just got married last year, and we went to California for our honeymoon, and so we did the whole state. And so I went to all 3 Amoeba record locations. I went to
A dream of mine. I want to go someday.
it was really nice, and it was very one of the things that I really enjoyed about Amoeba Records was that they had like vintage posters, vintage like
Oh, yeah.
advertisement, like posters and things like that you don't really see at other places.
Right.
To tell you the truth, I was a little bit disappointed with the vinyl because it was mostly new, and I
I've
didn't
heard
really,
that.
and it really was not they had a lot of great stuff, and I think if you were interested in newer music, or if you were maybe just getting started and you wanted to kind of see what it is, there was some stuff that they had to offer, but it was not what I expected. And
Right.
so
Right. Well, I've been wanting to. A couple of buddies of mine tried to set up a vinyl record shopping road trip to Pittsburgh a few years back to go to Jerry's Records,
yep.
because they're supposed to be one of the best record stores in the country. And a buddy of mine, one of the 3 of us, was actually from Pittsburgh, and so he's been before, and he tried to set it up, and then some scheduling conflicts came upon, and then we had to cancel it, and then we were going to redo it this summer. But then there was a little thing called COVID-19. I don't know
Right.
if any of you guys have heard of it, but it kind of put that whole thing. So maybe
Yes.
it happens next summer. We'll see. I hope so. Since we're talking about record stores, I'm actually rocking a T-shirt from a record store I've never been to. Station One Books and Vinyl. It's in New Jersey. Um,
Yep.
one of I think 3 Station One Books and Vinyl records T-shirts that I have. I got a couple of the guys who own the place are subscribers of mine here on YouTube.
Okay.
And then one of my best friends, guy who actually is from New Jersey, frequents the shop. It's his favorite shop. So every time they come up with a new shirt, he sends it to me. So I've never actually been there, but I know the owners,
Yep.
and a buddy of mine sends me a T-shirt every time they open up. So that's always
Yes. Yeah. Yep. I got the same thing. I'm wearing Bop Shop Records, which is also in Rochester.
Right?
If you ever, I mean, I know there's very few reasons why you'd come up here, but if you ever get to Rochester, I know Dave, local bandography,
Mhm.
is he's been there a few times. It's got the best jazz I've ever seen, and for somebody
Really?
like you,
Mhm.
and even me, he's got stuff in the back that is unbelievable, and he really prides himself on clean vinyl. He doesn't really take a lot of stuff that's lower grade, and if he does, it's usually stuff that's he'll price it at like $20 or something
Right.
like that. So I have a few, um, like I have like a second pressing of the Sermon, Jimmy Smith,
Mhm. Right.
and it was $25. And I mean, it's in probably VG condition, but it still plays through pretty nicely. And I
Right.
mean, it's something and you find it. I found it right in the stacks. It wasn't even like you had to go anywhere kind of
Right.
specials.
Yeah, I found my copy of that record at a flea market. So yeah, and it was $12, and it was clean. But it's a
Wow.
flea
Yeah.
market in the South. They didn't know what they had. They just threw a
Right.
price
Right.
on it. So this is one of those instances where I got lucky. And I've actually done a couple of videos before, way back when I first got started, about instances where I just got really lucky on valuable records like that at flea markets, place like that, because
Yep.
they just didn't know what they had. But
Yep.
Dave at the local bandography is actually a really good friend of mine. I don't know if you knew that, but yeah, he's
Yep.
a really good friend of mine. He and I go digging when we can. We try to plan, gigs when we can at certain places. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. But
Yep.
but yeah, Dave's awesome guy. Yeah, I've had the pleasure of digging with him multiple times. He's great. But can you remember the first Blue Note record you ever bought?
I can, and I'm actually going to talk about that in this
Okay,
video.
cool. Awesome segue then. So for that matter, we'll just jump right on in. I tell you what, this is what we're gonna do for you guys watching. Hopefully a lot of you. We'll see. Um, Joe and I are going to talk about the Blue Note 4000 series. We're going to bounce off some of our favorites from the series. I think, Joe, I'm sure that's what you picked as some of your favorites from the series. And
Yep.
then I'll pull up a few ones that I feel like everybody should know about but doesn't. And then we'll go from there, and we'll just, hey, we'll see where this goes. I'm pretty I'm pretty loose with the way I plan my videos, as most of you probably know. But we'll go from there. So, Joe, you are my guest. Please pull your first 4000 series record. Talk
Okay.
about it.
So, this was one that I had gotten probably earlier on when I first started collecting. I mean, when I say early on, I just started collecting last August in terms of
Oh,
jazz. And so I have amassed probably like about 90, close to 90 jazz records since then. That's all I've been really buying. But
not bad in that
it was
period of
one
time,
of the,
bro.
yeah, it was one of the first Japanese pressings. And I didn't really know much about it other than the fact that I saw it and I was like, oh, this is from the 70s. And I believe it is stereo, but it was still like really a real good price. And I had read up on Japanese pressings being really good, but
They are
I didn't,
great.
I didn't really know anything about it. So
Nice. Yeah.
it's
Love,
up at,
love that.
and this is volume 1. Hopefully you can see it well. Stanley Turrentine. At the time, one of the main reasons why I had purchased it was because I was really diving deeper into Stanley Turrentine. I had gotten shortly before that Midnight Blue,
Yeah.
and again I didn't. There was no. I didn't know anything about that record. I soon found out that that was one of his best, if not considered his best record in terms, at
Yeah.
least on Blue Note, in terms of his stuff. But I really liked Stanley Turrentine, and you had said in one of your earlier videos on your channel about when you were helping people build up their jazz collections that you have to look at the personnel, you have to find who you like, and go from there. And that's
Absolutely.
exactly what I did. I remember last summer. I don't know how I stumbled upon your channel. I think it was because I watched Dylan's videos, and then I saw, I was like, man, this guy's got a crazy beard. I've never seen somebody have a beard like that. And at first I was like, I was flipping through your videos that you had, and I was like, these are mostly jazz. I did not at the time know anything about jazz, and I don't remember even what was the first video that I watched of yours. It may have been one of your first videos.
Oh,
And
thank you for sticking around. Those are terrible.
and it's crazy because I at this point, especially me starting my YouTube channel like a month and a half ago, I've started connecting with more people. So I've started subscribing to more people, and I've seen a lot of really great stuff. But to tell you the truth, and I'm not just telling you this because we're having this conversation, but your channel is probably the best channel that I subscribe to on YouTube. And I'm not even kidding. I don't know if it's just because you talk about jazz. The stuff that you've got is like heat all day. It's just, there's something about your channel that it's great content that you come out with, and I really enjoy those videos.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. That makes it worth it to me. Anytime anybody can ever tell me that they got into jazz because of me, or if they found out about more jazz because of me or anything, and that's why I keep it going. Because I don't have very much free time at all. You know, people are like, hey, I haven't seen a video from you in a few weeks. What's going on? It's like life.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
56-hour work week, you know, full-time father of a 3-year-old, full-time husband, you know, life. And so, you know, all the time I think about, you know, when can I do another? I think about it all the time. But, you know, it oftentimes it's really, really late at night when I can make this happen, which obviously you and I had scheduled to do this a few hours earlier. Zoom kicked us in the ass a little bit, but hey, it is what it is. But thank you, man. That really means a lot to me. I really, really appreciate it. That's why I keep this going for you guys. So thank you.
Yep, definitely. So I kind of when I had first gotten it, I listened to it quite a bit, and then as I continued to buy more and more jazz records, I just kind of had put this one to the side, and I hadn't listened to it in a while. And I recently listened to it because I knew I wanted to kind of add this into the video. One of the things I really enjoy about this record is the fact that it was recorded live. I really enjoy live jazz albums, and again, that's something else that you've talked about, and I really can attest to that they take songs that are normally great. Maybe you've heard it on another album, a studio version, but there's always a different there's an additional aspect to the playing when it's done live. One thing that's interesting about this record is that it's one of the first sessions that had Grant Green on it. He had a few albums before. He had recorded Grant's First Stand, I believe.
I'll be showing that one here in a bit.
Okay. So I'll save that. I was just reading like this information's just on the back.
Yeah. And that's always one of the best parts about a Blue Note release is you turn it over and it's like you get a whole read up on the album. It's freaking great. Like, it's like you know everything about it just by reading the back jacket. You know, that's one of the first things I do after I buy a Blue Note album. I flip it over, I read the whole thing. It's great.
Right. And it's just it was Stanley Turrentine, but then also Grant Green. Grant Green was the first jazz musician that I kind of gravitated towards when I was first getting started. And so the combination of both of them, I was thinking, man, this has got to be great.
Absolutely.
And it really is great. One thing that's interesting about this is I think this is the only record that I have that has Horace Parlan on it.
Wow.
I don't really, I may have one
Hard
or two,
find.
but yes, exactly. Very, very difficult to find. And his playing is very unique on this. It's much different than any other piano player I've ever heard. And it's a good thing because a lot of these albums you're hearing like piano players or saxophone players or trumpet players or whoever it happens to be, and it sounds like they're playing the same thing on every single album. They're
Absolutely.
And I think for him, he really was pushing that limit, and so that's kind of the first pick for me. It was a great live album. Love Stanley Turrentine. He has quite a few albums. I have quite a few albums in my collection from him. Not a whole lot on Blue Note. I think I have like one in Impulse that he had with Shirley Scott, but I'd have to, again, even though I don't have a lot of jazz, I lose track unless I check Discogs continually to see what I have. So
give it some time. You'll have plenty. You'll be like me
yeah,
one of these days where you can look behind me and all of that is jazz.
right.
That's all of that, and then all of that, and then all of that over there is all jazz.
That's
So,
crazy.
and then, yeah, my rock section is like 2 cubes.
Yep.
Yeah, my country section is like, because I mean, I'm a Southern boy. I got to have a country section. And it's
Right.
like a cube. And then my miscellaneous section, which is, a few pop, a few reggae, is like another half a cube. But my jazz is in thousands. So I don't know. It hit me, and I was like, man, I got to find out more about this, and it just never stopped, and I just can't get enough of it.
Yep.
And
Definitely.
so now that you've shared one, I'm going to share one. I'm going to start. The first 3 or 4 that you guys see me share are going to be my absolute favorites from the 4000 series. And I'm going to go with one that I actually got in 2019, and it's Blue and Sentimental by Ike Quebec. It's awesome. If it's got any glare, I'll fix that problem for you right now. Beautiful jacket. I love the freaking album. It is amazing. It is best served late at night with a nice glass of scotch or whiskey or whatever your beverage of choice is. Just kick your chair back, kick your recliner back, have your drink ready to roll, and just relax. It's not an overly loud album. It's not overbearing. It don't have a bunch of cookers on it, which, I mean, I love my cookers. I love the cooking jazz albums. I really do. But this one, there's something to be said for an album that's just great to hear late at night when you can relax. You ain't got to worry about waking up the kids or everybody in the house, and you can still enjoy it. For me, my favorite times to hear this are either really late at night or really early in the morning, with a cup of coffee early in the morning, nice cocktail late at night. But I freaking love this album. It was one of the ones that was, oh my God, on my top like 4 or 5 must-have list, and then I was fortunate enough to get it in 2019. So that's great. It's got Grant Green, who you've already talked about on it. Of course, it's many Blue Note sessions too. The great Paul Chambers and Philly Joe Jones. This is an original mono pressing. I doubt that you guys are shocked. I love it. It's just, man, it's one of my favorite records in my collection. It's a must-have in any format, guys. Get yourself a reissue. I don't care. Get a Blue Note, get any kind of reissue. I don't care. Just get the music. Stream it. I don't care what you do. Just get the music. I prefer you not stream it. I prefer you buy the vinyl, but I want you to hear the music. Because jazz, for me, is just absolutely best served on vinyl. But that's my first choice. Joe, show us your second.
Okay. So I think this is one that you've talked about, and I don't know if it's something that you've said in a video or if it was something on your Instagram. And I want to say it was, I don't know how recent it was. If you picked up a reissue, I'm not sure, but it's one of the top finds that I've had this year. I got it in January at Bop Shop again. I mean, it's going to be a common theme for this video. A Fickle Song, Jackie McLean.
Nice.
This is just as I don't have some of the albums I have put behind like you do. Others I haven't. This is original mono.
Woo! Woo! You got one I ain't got, bro. I've got a Fickle Sonic, but I don't have an original. Wow, I hear you.
So this was one that I had. I'll give just a quick story and then I'll get into the album itself. At Christmas time, this past Christmas, I went home to see my family, and I'd always make a stop at Bop Shop, just see what they've got. And recently, the owner has let me go into the back, which is where he's got the holy shit records, as you say. And this was one of the ones where he was like, "Hey Joe, check out this one that I just got in," and he had gotten it in like less than a week before. And at the time, I was, and I still am, obsessed with Jackie McLean. Of all jazz artists, I love Jackie McLean. He's
Yeah,
just
top five
unbelievable.
on the sax for me, absolutely.
Yes, I love him so much. He's in every album he had his mark on, and I've talked about this in some of my videos, but I wanted to listen to it kind of first before I actually had obviously paid for it, but also a lot of times I will stream it on YouTube. I'll just like listen to the songs on YouTube, and then I'll be like, oh, this sounds good, and then I usually will go for it. This case, because it was pricier, I did want to listen to it on both the turntable along with on the YouTube on YouTube. But this album has such a lineup, great lineup. Tommy Turrentine on trumpet. I wasn't very familiar with him at the time. He's the brother of Stanley Turrentine, and obviously Jackie McLean's on alto sax. Sonny Clark on piano. Oh my gosh!
He's a freaking madman on that record.
I know,
He's
it's
so
unbelievable,
good.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
His presence on this album is crazy.
Oh,
Butch Warren on bass, and then Billy Higgins on the drums. And when I got in this home, I put it on my turntable. And one thing that I've realized about original mono pressings of Blue Note is that if you're used to the volume being at a certain level when you're listening to other music, and you put on an original mono, it's like you're going to get blown across the room because it's so much louder. It's incredible. It's insane. And the opening track on the B side of Fickle Sonnets is it starts out with kind of back and forth between Butch Warren on bass and I believe is Sonny Clark on piano, if I remember. I believe it's kind of a back and forth between them, and then they all come in together, and then Jack McLean takes his first solo, and it's just like, oh my goodness, listen to this, and it's just it's unbelievable. Yes, so that's my second pick.
I've wanted an original pressing of that for years. And every time I ever thought I had one, it was either a little pricey or the price was good, but the condition wasn't what I wanted. Because it's like, if I'm going to buy a record I really love, I want the condition to be right.
Yes.
And then finally, Blue Note 80 put it out.
Yep.
Which, by the way, Blue Note 80, by the way, great reissues. I'm not knocking them. You guys hear me advocate for the jazz reissues all the time. And the Blue Note 80s are great. That being said, I will drop kick this Blue Note 80 off a bridge to spend 2 days with an original mono pressing of this album. So, but kudos to you, my friend. That one will be. Now I'm really pumped up to add that now. Now that I know you got it, I'm really going to get it now.
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. I see you. All right. My second pick is one that I included in my top 5 all time for the 4000 series, which I was surprised to find on Instagram. So many other people did as well.
Mm-hmm.
When I put it on, I thought it was going to be an outsider pick. I'm like, a lot of people are going to look at this and be like, oh, really interesting. But no, it popped up on a lot of people's, and that's Grant Stand by Grant Green. It popped up on a lot of lists, and this is, of course, an original mono pressing. It's a freaking stellar record. Obviously, anything Grant Green was ever on was awesome. But for me, what is also awesome about this album is it's got Yusef Lateef on it.
Yep.
And Yusef Lateef was, I don't know, this might be the only time he was ever on Blue Note. I'm not positive about that. But Yusef Lateef, in my opinion, is one of the most talented musicians in the history of the world. I'm not talking about just in jazz, but the guy can play anything.
Mm-hmm.
He's phenomenal. And then, of course, it's got Jack McDuff and Al Harold on it, and it's just a phenomenal album all the way across the board. I really love it. You can't beat it. Grant Green's got many great records, but this one sits near the top for me. You know, obviously there's Idle Moments in Green Street and Street of Dreams and so many great Grant Green records. And this one is right in the thick of things for me. I really, really love it. I remember adding it to my collection and just being so stoked. You know, it's one of those things where anytime I can add a great record to my collection, I'm always stoked. But there's just something about getting an original mono Blue Note that is just like, man, it's like you can't tell me nothing after I get one.
Yep. Yes. Yep. Yep.
But that's my second pick. So, Joe, hit us for number 3, brother.
So this is the one that I was alluding to at the beginning when you had asked about how I got into jazz.
Okay.
The first jazz record I bought, Green Street, Grant Green. This is also original mono. I jumped right in. It was ridiculous. I kind of jumped the gun. I think I made a good decision. I definitely am really happy to have this record. The only thing is there is some noise to it. It's not super overpowering. I remember when I asked you about this record, you had said, just be careful because there's a lot of kind of slower songs, almost like ballad, and you can hear that surface noise a little bit more, but it's not terrible. And I think some surface noise, now obviously on these records, I don't want any surface noise, but I think in some cases it can add a little character. It shows the age of the record, and I think that I'm not advocating for surface noise because that's not what I want. But but yeah, so
but you're not talking about surface noise on an Aerosmith record. You're talking about surface noise on a super hard to find, very rare 60-year-old jazz record. So it's just one of those deals where just to own that, just to have that in your house is an honor.
Yes.
And I'm not knocking on, for any of you rock fans watching, I ain't knocking on Aerosmith now. Don't freaking unsubscribe from me here. I'm just saying that shit's common. You can get one of those for $10.
Yes.
That is not $10. Let's just say that.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And the right from the beginning, the one thing that I gravitated towards when I first got into jazz was guitar. I really enjoyed guitar-based jazz. The first probably maybe month or so that I collected jazz, I only bought Grant Green or Kenny Burrell records. That was really mostly it. I just moved towards the guitar, and I remember hearing trumpet on some of these records, and it's not on this one, but like Lee Morgan or Don Bird or any of these. And at first I was just like, I don't really like that. I wasn't a huge fan of the trumpet and even other instruments. I wasn't a huge fan of. And when I started with Stanley Turrentine, I slowly got more into like there now being a saxophone and then a trumpet. And now if there isn't a trumpet and a saxophone on a record, there's more than likely I'm not going to get it. I do enjoy guitar, but I've moved past that and I've gotten more into a much larger range of jazz with saxophones and trumpets and things like that. But yeah, this is just a great guitar-based record. Grant Green was a genius when it came to the guitar, and just a really great way to start the jazz collection. So
I couldn't agree more. Give me 1 second, Joe. I'll be right back. I got to wrap some.
Okay.
Joe, my man. So that thing I had to grab was totally another beer. I'm sure y'all are shocked. I may or may not edit that out. To be honest with you, that's probably part of my charm, so I'll probably keep it in. I don't know. Like, this is everyone. David Newton, Unsightly Vinyl. I don't know if you know who he is or what you
Yeah.
follow
Yep.
him, but he's also a good friend of mine. Matter of fact, I'm trying to work out a scheduling for a video for him soon. Now that I've got this figured out, that might even happen tonight. It's possible. But he had asked me, he goes, I'm very curious to find out how a young Southern man like yourself got so into jazz. And I told him, I said, well, I said, you talk to me for a little bit, I might tell you one day. But
Right. Right.
anyway, that's neither here nor there. I guess I'll move on to my next choice. Was that pick number 2 or 3? I can't remember.
That was 3. That was number 3 for me.
All right, cool. I'll go ahead and go with my third pick. It's another one of the ones again that I was just so honored to add to my collection. Which that can actually be said for every single one of these, and I'm sure you can relate. You add them, and it's just like you feel like, and you feel like you're just snagging a piece of history. And
Yes.
I'm not saying that that's not the same thing for all music, because it is. If you feel that way about classic rock, then you feel like you're snagging a piece of history. I mean, it's just anything. It's like, man, I feel like I'm snagging a piece of history that not too many people know about, that not too many people can appreciate, that not too many people know the artist on the record. I just feel like that I've got an audience to a room full of greatness that not too many people are even aware exists. And it just makes me feel awesome.
Yep.
It really does. And then and what helps out even more is that I freaking love the music.
Yes.
So before I go off into one of my all-time rants and run this video 3.5 hours, in that matter of time, you can, watch The Godfather, but why would you watch The Godfather when you can watch us talk about jazz? Godfather or 2 guys talking about jazz? I'll take 2 guys talking about jazz. Anyway, this is one that I was honored to add to my collection, as I am all. Off to the Races, Donald Byrd.
Oh, man.
Yeah, original mono pressing. It is in impeccable condition. Freaking stellar record, Joe, as I'm sure you're aware. It's got the great Jackie McLean on it. It's got Pepper Adams on it, Wynton Kelly, Sam Jones, and the great and underappreciated Art Taylor on the sticks. I love everything about the album, including the cover. Cover's phenomenal. Donald Byrd looking cool as hell. That super kick-ass, sexy Mercedes right there underneath it. Donald Byrd's got an affinity for cars, and it's obvious because so many of his albums have him with a kick-ass car. Same thing can be said for Jimmy Smith. He's got several album covers. Him, Crazy Baby, that album cover, that's his car on the cover. It's kick-ass, and it's just, I love it so much. There's nothing bad that can be said about this album. When you talk about a top 5 for me all-time trumpeter and Donald Byrd, Jackie McLean, easily top 5 also. Easily. I might be prepared to go even higher than that, Joe, and I think you might would be as well, as you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Pepper Adams on the baritone, Wynton Kelly on the keys, Sam Jones on bass, and Art Taylor on the sticks. How you just read that? That's a blind buy. If you don't know anything at all about the album, that's a blind buy. Honestly, and it's just freaking killer. And I love the whole color. I love the colors on the album cover. I love everything. Blue Note just did everything perfect. They did the covers perfect. They did the colors perfect. They did the photography perfect. They did the production perfect. And most importantly, they did the freaking music perfect. And it's unbeatable. And, anybody was to ever ask me my favorite music label of all time, I'm going to laugh in your face. Just watch my channel for like 3 videos. It's Blue Note. They can do no wrong in my eyes. Absolutely no wrong. So that's my third pick. Joe, take it away.
So the next one that I have, Music from the Connection. Love this. Obviously, Jackie McLean was the one that kind of caught my eye when I saw this. And just a really great lineup. I was thinking of putting in Shades of Red, Freddie Red's other real big kind of album. But I chose this one. Jackie McLean just takes over on this one. I mean, unbelievable. He just pushes everybody to the side, and it's really, really great. Second song on the A side, Wigglin'. I mean, just that's probably one of my favorite favorite saxophone
Jackie
part.
torches that song. It's my
Yes.
goodness.
It's really, really great. Interesting thing about this one is that when I got it, I had told you about this. I was like, oh yeah, I picked up original mono. Unfortunately, it's not. It's got 47 West 63rd, and then it's got New York, USA on the B side, but there's no ear. And so I was talking with DJ Pari on Instagram about it.
Boy.
And yeah, and he was saying that it was probably a Liberty that just had the original labels or earlier labels on it, and it still sounds unbelievable. And for me, the price that I paid for it, either way, worked out. I mean, it was a great album.
Yeah,
I didn't
you got a great price on that. I can't remember what it was, but I remember it being a great one. That reminds me, did I ever get back to you which one I had? I can't remember if I did or not.
I don't think you had, no.
Well, what
Because
better
you said
time
you
to
had an original. You had said you had
I'm pretty sure I do. What better time to settle it than now? Give me a second. My videos go off the rails. Here you go. Matter of fact, I'm actually kind of shocked I didn't pull this one myself. Here's mine, and mine's a stereo press, by the way. I do know that.
Oh, okay.
Mine is a stereo press, but it's freaking clean. I know that. 47 West 63rd Street, New York City on side 1, and 47 West 63rd, New York City on side 2. Stereo, this is as close to excellent condition as you can possibly think of. It's got the RVG stamper. It's got the ear. Yeah, so this is going to be a first stereo, which is which I was positive it was anyway, because DJ Pari sold it to me.
Yeah.
And and he sold it to me first stereo, and that guy knows his shit.
Yep.
I tell people all the everybody's like, oh yeah, you know your shit. I'm like, you think I know my shit? DJ Pari knows his shit.
Well, and that's and I since then, I mean, this was probably maybe a month ago, I finally realized that, or I was looking into it, and I don't remember why I was. I think I continued to, it kept going through my mind. I'm like, why does it have different labels? And there was one that was on Discogs. The original came out in 1960, and I think there was a 62 or 63 version that had those labels, except they were flipped. It was like New York, USA on the A side, and then the B side was the 47 West 63rd. I'm like, that's got to be what I have. I just have it flipped around. But then when I looked, there was no ear. It still got the RVG stamp.
Wow.
So I'm like, that makes me feel a lot better, because if it hadn't, then there's a better chance that it may have been something else. So
absolutely, as long as it's got that RVG stamp on it, bro, it's gonna sound freaking amazing.
Right.
I mean,
and that's what DJ Pari was saying, was he was just like, you're gonna have a hard time telling the difference. It's mono still, so it's still amazing, and it's not. And for that, it didn't really. Once I found that out, I'm just like, it's too bad it's not original, but at the same time, it's still got original sound without the ear. That's all it was. Different pressing plan.
Right. And there's several Blue Note albums in my collection that I have that are essentially second pressings.
Right.
Because they don't have the ear, but they're from the same stampers. So it's okay if it's from the same stampers. It's like they probably sound the same. And I've talked to several jazz experts about that, and they're like, yeah, they're going to sound the same. But because it's not a true first press, it's going to be, you're going to be able to get it for cheaper. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll take it for cheaper shit.
Yeah, that's right.
These things are so expensive. I'll take them for cheaper. I mean, shit.
Yep.
But yeah, I had actually forgotten that this was a stereo pressing that I had of this album, but it is clean. You can eat off this bad boy.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, after I sign off this video, I might listen to it.
So always a great choice. Always a great.
Absolutely. I agree. But that's a great album in any way, shape, or the form, as is the one that I can see right over your shoulder right there, Sonny Clark, Cool Strutting.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, it's a French press from the 80s, but it's still it's one of the ones that I think they did it right, because it sounds good. So.
Oh yeah, I've got several French pressings. Absolutely, they're good. 80, usually 82 or 83.
Yep.
Usually, I'm fortunate enough to have an original mono that I got for $200, and I still cannot believe that I got
That's,
that record
yeah.
for $200. I remember showing up. I remember Lunchbox Records in Charlotte posting it on their Instagram page, and I'm knowing that it's probably not going to store off the shelves because I'm knowing it's going to cost a lot of money.
Yep.
Like, I'm prepared to like open up the credit card on this thing. I'm like, okay, I know the credit card's supposed to be for emergencies. Damn it, this is an emergency. And so I messaged, the owner of the shop, Scott, who knows me. And I'm like, hey man, like I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this because this record's still there. He's like, yeah, it's still there. I'm like, okay, I'll be there first thing in the morning when you guys open. And I don't know if he thought he knew how serious I was. I waited outside the door for 20 minutes before opening. He opened the door. I was the first one in. He goes straight to the back, grabs it, comes out. He goes, hey man, it's $200. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
What does it sound like? And he's like, well, and then he hands it over to me. I'm looking at it and I'm like, shit, this is DG Plus all day long.
Or,
Like here, sold, right?
yeah.
Oh my goodness, I counted my blessings all the way home. That record goes for over $1,000 now.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Yeah, I have one at the end of this video. It's not a Blue Note, but I think you're definitely going. I know for a fact you're gonna like this. So I'll wait till the end and then I'll show you that.
Well, without further ado, whose choice was it next? Mine or yours?
It's yours. Yep, number 4.
All right, cool beans. Next up, the aforementioned in this video, the aforementioned in this video, Sonny Clark, Leaping and Loping.
Oh man.
Original mono pressing, top 2 favorite all-time Sonny Clark albums for me. This one and Cool Strutting, love them. And then of course there are plenty of other good ones. Sonny Clark had a couple that he had Coltrane on. You guys all know my affinity for Coltrane, so
Yep.
But we're talking about the 4000 series here. So Sonny Clark, Tommy Turrentine, the aforementioned, Charlie Roos, Butch Warren, and Billy Higgins. And guys, this is a smoker, as Joe is no doubt fully aware of. It is killer in every sense of the word. This copy, no splits, no seams, no problems. It is an immaculate condition. Another one that I got from DJ Park. Yeah, original mono, New York, USA labels. I can't say enough about it. Sonny Clark is a freaking legend, cut down way too early. Man died in his 30s. I've actually got a full video that I did way back when dedicated to Sonny Clark. Joe, you may or may not have seen it.
I have seen that, yeah.
Yeah, you're one of the few. For some reason, when I do those videos, nobody watches them. Everybody watches the most recent finds or something like that. But I'm still going to keep doing them, Dan, because they're fun, and I like doing them, and I like talking about jazz. But this is a freaking killer record, and I don't know how often it's been reissued. That I don't know. It hasn't popped up on the Blue Note 80s or anything like that. It didn't pop up on the Blue Note 75s.
Yeah.
But no matter how you get this record, get it. Get yourself a Japanese pressing, get one of those 80s French presses, get something. Because it's worth it. It's a freaking stellar record, guys. And Joe, I don't know if you have it. I get the impression you don't. There you go. I didn't think you did, because there's always that reaction from a jazz collector when you show a record that they don't have, or you immediately know they don't have it and you gave it.
Yeah, I am dying for that record, Chris. That one and Undercurrent, Kenny Drew. Those are 2 that and if this all hadn't been going on, I had a chance to get it was a King Japanese pressing of Undercurrent. And I was hesitant because it was coming from England. And I didn't want the hassle. I had no idea how long it was going to be. I didn't even know if it was going to show up, whatever it happened to be. And then somebody else bought it. So I'm just like, oh, I got to find some other avenue to find it. And there's a few that I've picked up since all of this has started that I didn't ever think that I was going to be able to find. But yeah, those 2, Leaping and Loping, I had a chance. They have at one of my hometown record stores, they have a French press of that. And I've been in there a few times since I knew that, but I just never had a chance I had never had enough time to ask, hey, can I listen to it on the turntable to see what it sounds like, the condition. everything like that. And that might be something that I go to, and then we'll go from there. So that's definitely.
Let me know when you get it, man. That's another one of the ones that when the chance to grab it popped up, I damn near shat myself. I mean, let's just say that.
Yes.
It's one of those in the collection that it's just untouchable, yep. Not for sale. Nobody can make me an offer I'll take. It's just not going to happen. If it's ever sold, it'll be after I'm dead by my wife. So it's one of those deals. So your turn, my friend.
Okay. I have a few, and I have to decide what the fifth one's going to be. I may throw in some of these during your recommendations as well. I have to decide which one I want to go with.
Show whatever you want, my friend. I got time.
Okay. I'll show the big one, and then I will. I have another one that I have in mind for the recommendations.
All right.
So preface this. I have, like I said, I have probably close to 90 jazz albums. Of all the Blue Note albums I have the most of the 4000 series. That's why I thought that this would work the best. The other ones I think I have maybe 5 or 6. So I would have been probably maxed out on the other, like the 1500, 4100, 4200, any of those.
Or at 1500.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
and those are the ones that are just crazy in price, and just some of those ones are, it's insane. But this one is probably one of the best records that I found at a record store. Really love the sound, and it's one of the ones where it's it is original. I'll just show it and then I can talk about it. Another Jackie McLean. I know I can't stop with it. I'm sorry, Chris.
No, don't be sorry for showing me Jackie McLean, bro.
New Soil, Jackie McLean. This is his first release on Blue Note. I'm part of the 4000 series. I've been making a few videos with like Sherv and Dave, Local Bandography, and Rob at Sound Strange. The 3 of them put together the 4000 series, kind of cataloging those videos. I don't know if have you seen any of those, Chris? Okay.
Yeah, I have. I always watch them at work during my lunch break, and oftentimes don't have time to comment, but I always have time to watch and throw up a thumb. So. and
I think it was Sherv at Julius Jabbar had shown this one, and he made a very interesting point, and I really think that this could be one of the reasons why the title is the way it is. New Soil. He's on New Soil because this is the first record that is on Blue Note for him. He's had, I think, a run of records. I saw in your video with Mike, I can't remember if it was the one that was on your channel or if it was the one that was on his, that you showed off the Jackie McLean quintet that had that really awesome cover on Jubilee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got it right back here.
I was drooling when you were showing that, Chris. I really want to find that record, and I haven't really looked too hard for that one, but that is one of the ones that I'm really interested in trying to find.
If I put my eyes on another copy, my brother, you're the first person I'm calling.
Okay, well, thank you. I would appreciate that.
Jackie McLean Quintet?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. There's that, and then he was on, I have another one, Taylor's Wailers on Prestige. That's a great one. Love that. Love that album. Dig was I believe his first album with Miles Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Early 50s. That one was another one. But yeah, this just is another great
and great lineup. Look at that lineup. Walter Davis Jr., Paul Chambers, Pete LaRocca, and Donald Byrd. What?
Yep. Original mono as well. And it's just this is one of the cleanest Blue Notes that I have. And it's amazing. It took me a while to realize it. I first saw this like Thanksgiving time, and it wasn't until probably like 2.5, 3 months later that I revisited again and I listened to it, and then I was just like, man, I should have bought that when I saw it. And I had a feeling it was still there because it was another one that was in the back, and so I didn't really think a lot of people were getting back there, but just unbelievable. When I played this, it was one of the ones where I had to turn the volume down a little bit because it was so loud. I mean, it was. It's great.
The very first time you put an original mono Blue Note on your turntable and you have your volume settings adjusted to where it is you had like your classic rock records or whatever set at, which you thought were pretty loud, it will start speaking at you, and it's just great. And there's especially when they're clean. When they're, oh my goodness, when they're clean, what?
It just makes them shine even more. Right.
Absolutely. And the next one that I'm going to show is on a lot of people's all-time favorite jazz albums list that I've come to find. And it's one of those ones that I'm still in the hunt for an original mono pressing of. I'll take an original stereo pressing as well. But sadly, I haven't tracked it down yet. So I have a classic records pressing, which even the classic records pressings of this album, oh yeah, they're great. Classic records pressings are great. But even those are over 100 for this album now. But it was one of those ones where it's like, you know what, I just have to have this album. And I want to have it in the best possible version I can afford for the time being. So I went ahead and got myself a classic records pressing. I had a chance a couple of years ago to snag one for 500, but didn't have the money. And I tried to get the guy to hold for me, and he was like, no, I got to move this as soon as possible. And I'm like, well, okay, well, I have the money 2 days. And he's like, if it's still there, call me. And then, 2 days later, he's like, yeah, I sold it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he couldn't hold it for me. But I mean, but he didn't know me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't know me anything. He was trying to move as quick as he could. That's where connections, guys. Connections come in handy, especially when you're dealing with expensive records. But
definitely,
I'll skip all of that and Soul Station, Hank Mobley, all-time immortal jazz records. There's plenty of gloss on this one because it's not an original pressing. But again, it's a super killer classic records pressing. I love it. I really do. And every time I play it loud. It sounds phenomenal. It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Hank Mobley on tenor, Wayne Kelly on the keys, Paul Chambers on bass, and Art Blakey on the sticks. I mean, that's as good a lineup as you could really hope to put together. And it's one of Mobley's finest moments. A lot of people say it's Mobley's finest record. I don't know if I subscribe to that. There's a couple that I like just as much, if not more. No Room for Squares, Roll Call, certain. There's a few that I like just as much, if not more. But this one's in the 4000 series, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really great record. And one of these days, this record's going to belong to one of you guys. And I say that because it's going to belong to you guys because I get an original mono pressing. They don't call me the Blue Note Bloodhound for nothing. I'm going to track that rascal down. By the way, Dave, local bandography, gave me that nickname. Thank you, Dave. I'm going to have some t-shirts made. You kidding me? I'm going to sell them bitches. I'm going to make some money. I'm going to sell them bitches and I'm going to put it towards an original mono Soul Station. That is going down. I will accomplish that in my life. I don't know when. And by then I might be so ecstatic to have it that I might just give this to one of you guys. I'm just being honest. So,
and I know I think that was also part of the SRX Music Matters that came out this year. And I was looking at some of those recently. I can't remember what album I was looking for. I can't remember. Might have been one of the 1500 series ones. And they were all sold out. I mean, I know that they were all limited.
Quick, man.
It was just it's all gone, and so it was. But yeah, that's another one that you don't see a lot, and
keep your eyes on Discogs. You'll be able to get those SRXs. A lot of the people that are buying them all up are buying multiple copies and then they're flipping them. Now they're going to flip them for more than what they sold for on opening day, but still, if you get $100 copy of Soul Station that was flipped, it's way cheaper than you're going to get for an original pressing, and it's going to sound
right.
So,
right, that's right.
Yeah. So if you hang in there, you'll get one. It's just one of those things where everybody jumps on them. Some people are keeping, some people are flipping, and it's one of those deals. All right, brother, what you got next?
Let's see. I think I'm going to go with Davis Cup,
Walter Davis Jr. I love that
Walter
record.
Davis Jr. I believe this is the only album that he was a leader on Blue Note.
True.
And
I
just
can't figure out why.
amazing.
That album's so good. You can't figure out
Yes,
why.
it is.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, he wrote all 6 songs that are on the album, and every single one of them is. I mean, there's aside from Sweetness, the closing song on the A side, every song is upbeat, which is what I like. I do like some of the slow songs, so I think it really can show the emotions of the players, but the fast songs are the ones that I really enjoy, and it's just smack it. I mean,
And that freaking lineup, dude. What? Tell the people about that lineup, man. I'm gonna give you the honors. What about that lineup?
Donald Byrd on trumpet, Jackie McLean on alto sax, Walter Davis Jr. piano, Sam Jones on bass, Art Taylor on the drums. Just
It don't get much better than that.
right.
It don't.
I love Donald Byrd, and I've been trying to find more and more of his stuff. There are some things that I don't like as much. Off to the Races is one of the ones that I really am looking for. That's another one. I'd actually back in February, HR Records in DC had like a consignment sale. There was somebody that brought in. I think I was telling you about that one. I don't know if there was like 2 of them that went on, but the first one had Off to the Races original mono, and it was like as clean as you would get it, like 1959. So, I mean, or 50. I think was it 58 or 59? I can't.
I think it's 58.
58. Okay.
I think so, but I could be wrong. Happened once before. We'll see.
But it was unbelievable.
If my wife was watching this, she'd just be like,
right. And it was it was so clean. And I can't remember how much, I think they wanted like $450. And there was something else that was on my list at the time. Right Now, Jackie McLean was on the list. That was the one that it was a little bit lower priced. It was like a second stereo, but it was clean. I mean, it was, again, same thing. It was unbelievably clean. And it was just, but yeah, anyway, back to what it was. I like to ramble. I think it's just the presence.
You're talking to a fellow rambler. Yeah. Everybody knows that. Yeah. Everybody who watches my channel knows that.
This is just the lineup. You're right. It is so, the front 3 especially, but I mean, I think a lot of times people take for granted the rhythm section, the bass, the drums, and on some of these songs that it can be like the heart of the song is the drumming and the bass and really kind of laying down a real nice kind of rhythm. But yeah, just great record. This is the second mono. So the original was 1960, I want to say 59 or 60. This one was from 72 with the UA, with the mono UAs that they did.
Oh, the UAs are still solid. Yeah, they're very solid.
Yep. And it's just, and it sounds great. And I got it $25. I mean,
oh, what? UA for $25? That's a steal.
Yeah.
I've been guilty of paying $75, $80 for a UA before. I've done that.
Yes.
I've absolutely done that. And I did it with a smile on my face. I didn't even hesitate. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, I recently got Hank Mobley Sextet.
Yeah.
The 72. I got it from Charles Strictly Headies. I don't know if
I know who that is.
He's on like an Instagram guy, and I got it from him. But it was real clean. It still had shrink wrap on it.
Right.
You hate shrink wrap. I hate shrink wrap. I think that's just stresses me out. So it
Fuck
just
that shit. Let's just get to go. Let's just get to go. It does. I hate it. There's not a record in my collection that's got shrink wrap on it. There were a couple I let people believe I was going to keep, and then I was like, hey, yeah, keep that stuff. Ain't no way in hell. All right. So next up, I got a record that's already been shown, but oh well. It's a Blue Note 80. of a copy of an album that this bastard has an original mono pressing of. It's Official Sonnets by Jackie McLean. Yeah, there's been a lot of we should just name this video the Jackie McLean Hour.
Yes.
Hosted by Chris and Joe. I mean, honestly, that's what we should do. So, but this is the Blue Note 80 because I haven't been lucky enough to get the original mono this rascal here hosting this video with me has. But it sounds great. It sounds killer, and you can find it for under $25.
Definitely.
So, because I'm an advocate of the music, please, guys, it just came out not too long ago. Support your local record store. Chances are they're probably going to sell it to you online or might allow you to get curbside pickup.
Yep.
Go to the store, pick it up, order it online. Support your local record store and get a great album in the process. Official Sonnets, Jackie McLean. It's a fucking phenomenal album. I can't even begin. Joe's already talked about it one time. We doubled up, but I don't care. It doesn't matter because we have good taste. But get yourself a copy, support your local record store, get a great album for under $25. That being said, as soon as I can get an original mono pressing, I will gladly gift this to one of you guys because I'm a jazz lover, but I'm also a historian. So, it's one of those deals. Next up, my brother.
So last one I got, I recently picked this up, Blowing the Blues Away, Horace Silver. One main reason why I got this one was probably maybe a month or two ago. I found at my local record store. Oh gosh, I'm blanking on the name. I don't know if it's Cookin'. I'm not sure what it's. It's Junior Cook, Blue Mitchell. It's on Jazzland. I can't remember. I'm blanking on where. Maybe it's Jazzland. It might correct me if you know.
Jazzland, New Jazz.
Yeah, I know it's not New Jazz. I know that. I can't think of the. It is Jazzland. Yep. And I found that one. It was really great combination between the two of them. And I always enjoy trumpet and the tenor sax kind of combination. And Horace Silver on the piano. I know you sing the praises in a lot of your videos about Horace Silver. And this album really showcases that. There's, 7 songs on the record, and 2 of the songs it's just him, Eugene Taylor on the bass, Louis Hayes on the drums, and then the rest of them have the quintet. So this is like quintet and trio. But yeah, it's just a real.
I really enjoy the trio numbers, to be honest with you. I really love those. They're kind of scaled back. They're a little more, I don't know. Now, I enjoy the whole record, but those trio numbers, people, don't sleep on the trio numbers. They're great on that record.
Yes. And I really I don't have a lot of records that were like fronted by a piano player. Most of the stuff, it's either trumpet, saxophone. That's probably it. Maybe drums, like the Wailers. But
a few guys, with the exception of like Monk, Silver, Tyner, Timmons, Sonny Clark. Outside of that, most of my records are, or saxophone driven, trumpet driven, drums driven. Hell, I got damn near every Art Blakey record you can ever think of because I think the guy's a freaking genius, and they're all great. All his records are great. They just are. So, but yeah, absolutely.
And I have to show. Oh, that's falling out. Original mono as well. So it's a real great sounding album. And again, it's different than a lot of other stuff that I have. And at this point in kind of my collecting, especially with jazz, I'm looking to branch out to kind of hear some new things. And I really think that this one kind of brings that. And it just, a lot of the songs, and you know this, that the more songs that seem to be on a jazz record, the shorter the songs are going to be.
Right.
And a lot of times when the songs are short, there's not as much time for each soloist to kind of
right.
make the mark.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the case on this one, is that most of the songs are maybe 5 minutes, possibly 6 minutes at most. And I mean, they got to make their 45 seconds worth it.
And count. And so they bring the heat. They really do.
They do. It really.
They 45 seconds of heat. They sure do.
A great one. So yeah, that's kind of the last one that I got, but just yeah.
Yeah, I love anything Horace Silver. So I'll run by, if that's the last one you grabbed, I'll run by a couple real quick that almost made the cut. One I'll pick up real quick is Art Taylor, AT's Delight.
Mm-hmm.
I freaking love this album. I've always wanted an original mono pressing or original pressing period. This is a Blue Note 80. Again, I know everybody's probably looking at me like, wow, Chris, 2 Blue Note 80s. But yeah, it's Blue Note 80. It's a freaking awesome record. It's got Dave Burns, Stanley Turrentine, Wynton Kelly, Paul Chambers, and Potato Valdez on it. It is a killer record. Next one, I'm going to try to run through these because I picked more records than you. I'm going to try to run through them quick. The next one I'm going to pick is a record that you actually mentioned earlier, was Grant's first stand, Grant Green. You guys may or may not know the story as to how I got this last year, but we're at a record fair, a Charlotte record fair. Myself, Dylan at Noble Records, Dave at Local Bandography, and John at Digital Gramophone. And we're all there, and we're all digging, and I had spent basically all my money at a couple of booths prior, grabbing some real jazz heat. And by the time I got to this, I was tapped out. And I'm looking at it like, oh my God, this is original mono pressing. And the vendor's like, hey man, make me an offer. I'm like, I don't have an offer to make. I'm tapped out.
Right.
I mean, this is all the money I can afford to spend on records today. Because, Bill, obviously, as a married man, bills take priority. They do. Got to keep the lights on. Got to keep, got to. And then for me, as a father, you got to keep food on the table. You got to. Don't want to die for records when you get home with a bag full of records and wife's knife you. I mean, it's not worth it. It's not worth it, no matter the record. And I told him, I said, I'll tell you what. I said, here's the deal, I'll cut you. If the record doesn't survive the record fair, here's my name and number. Text me, call me. You and me can talk about it next week. Because, I'm going to get paid again next week. We'll talk about it then. And he was like, okay, cool. So he was really cool about it. He took my name, took my number. But then I saw Dylan come in right behind me from Noble Records, you guys. For some of you who don't know the story. And he just starts dealing with this guy. And he's like offering him this and he offered him that. And then Dylan pulls out straight cash on it. And basically ends up pulling this record for half what the guy had on it. And I'm like, good way. But I had told Dave at Local Bandography, I walked back there and I told him, I said, Dylan's getting ready to get this. He's getting ready to basically steal it. And he's like, yeah, definitely getting ready to have it. Something about putting cash in a man's face.
Definitely.
But he grabs it, he turns around and looks at me. Oh my God. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad Dylan got it, right? And so he got it. We posted the picture. He talks a little trash to me, everything like that. About 2 weeks later, he sends me a text message saying, so, hey, just so you know, I only got that Grant Green because I know you wanted it and couldn't afford it. When you're ready for it, call me. I'll sell it to you for exactly what I paid for it. I'm like, oh, my God. That's why you get to know people, guys, when you're getting ready to look for records. I'm not just for that, obviously. You get to know them for the friendships. Mm-hmm. But when you know people, when they love you, when they look out for you, I mean, that's just what they do. They look out for you. He didn't have to do that. He didn't even want the record. I mean, he took it home. He listened to it for a couple of weeks, and he sold it to me for exactly what he paid for it. But he got it just so I could have it. I mean, it's one of those deals. And here's another one next up that I can't believe didn't make my list, obviously. When I put my top 5 list together, I couldn't believe I left this off. But I did, because it's one of my first jazz albums I ever fell in love with. But it's Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. And it's self-titled, but it's come to be known as Moni. And it's, 4003. But, yeah, it was left off. Plenty of lists. but I don't know. I think it was probably left off most lists because people didn't want to be obvious. But for me, it was just, you know what? I got a lot of great jazz records, but this has got Lee Morgan, Benny Golson, Bobby Timmons, Jimmy Merritt, Art Blakey on the six. This is an original mono press. It's killer. And what that leads me to with this one basically is I'm going to run through because I got to thinking about it. What artist has the most phenomenal albums in the 4000 series? I got to thinking about it. And then it was like, it's going to be really hard to top Art Blakey. I mean, think about it for a second. I mean, you got the Big Beat right here. That's an original mono. You got At the Jazz Corner of the World, Volume 1. You got At the Jazz Corner of the World, Volume 2. You got Meet You at the Jazz Corner of the World, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. One of my personal favorites, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, A Night in Tunisia. That's an original stereo pressing. The players on that one, my goodness. A Message from Blakey Holiday for Skins. I've only got volume 2. I need volume 1 and 3 for anybody. If you see this, holler at your boy. Mosaic, Freaking Killer. And then I pulled one from an artist that I thought was somebody that everybody needed to know about. It's Hootin' and Tootin' by Fred Jackson. Joe, I don't know if you're familiar with this one.
I think you've shown that in a video. That's I think the only time I've ever seen that. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I showed it way back. This is as clean an original mono copy as you could ever hope to find in your life. And I got it from a record store out in New Mexico that was selling it on Instagram about, let's call it 2 or 3 years ago. And they had 150 on it. And 150 for any original mono jazz record in excellent condition is a steal. I don't care whose name's on it. Mm-hmm. That's just a steal. And so I immediately bought it up. Couldn't believe my luck. Got it home. They had described it as DG Plus. It's better than that. They were being kind. And God bless them for being kind. Because I got to tell you, this is a freaking smoking record. It's the only album Fred Jackson ever fronted on Blue Note. One of those other ones like Walter Davis that we were talking about. Like, this album is so good. How is it the only one he would ever give lead on? How? Mm-hmm. And it's just another one of those scenarios. But this one's got, you know, when you look at them, the difference between this one and that one, though, you look at the Walter Davis Jr. record, and you look at who all it had, and it's got Blue Note stars. I mean, it's got the dream team lineup on that album. This one, Fred Jackson on tenor, who most people haven't heard of, Earl Van Dyke on organ, who almost nobody's heard of, Willie Jones on guitar, and Wilbert Hogan on the drums. How many of those guys have you heard of, Jeff?
Maybe the guy on guitar. I've maybe heard that name before. I don't even know. I'm not even sure.
Right. So basically, they gave Fred the B team of Blue Note. Basically, maybe even the C team. But this record cooks. I'm here to tell you, it's freaking awesome. It's one of those ones you would definitely dig, Joe. If you like the faster numbers. But definitely, I don't know if it's available for streaming. I don't know how you can get into it. This is one I'm positive they haven't reissued much. I'm positive of that. But if you can get it, if you can find any way to listen to it at all, my brother, I would highly recommend it. Hootin' and Tootin', Fred Jackson. And my copy is an original mono pressing on Blue Note. And it's freaking cool. So those are all the albums I brought to the show. I had told Joe earlier in the week, it was like, yeah, bring 5 to 10. We'll talk for an hour. We've absolutely talked for longer than an hour. I absolutely pulled more than 5 to 10 records, but I feel like I at least ran through a bunch of them fast, so that was that. But for those of you who are into a couple of, you know, jazz cats talking about records, I hope you enjoyed it. I really do. Joe, is there anything else you want to show? Anything else you want to talk about?
There was one record that I wanted to show you, so just hold on a second.
That's right.
All right, let me see. So the one that I have left to show again, this is not a Blue Note one, but this is one that I know you have, but you'd be impressed with. I just got this today, and
Yes.
this is a
Yes.
second mono. It was pricey, but it was worth it. So I haven't spun it yet. Like I said, I just got it today, but
That cover looks clean, bro.
I know it's aside from she just said there was a little bit of like water damage. I assume that's what this is. The discs is pretty good. I think she said there was some a little bit of noise between the songs, stuff like that. But I think cleaning it up, and we'll see what it's like tomorrow.
Stack really overpowers that record. So I would be honest with you, if it's only light surface noise, I think Sonny's just going to blow right through that. To be completely honest with you.
But yeah, I had talked to you about this one a few months ago, probably now, and there was at the time on Discogs there was like a mid-60s press. I can't remember what the price was. This one was I don't know how long. There was a seller on Discogs, and it was this younger woman, and I was going through her records a few weeks ago, and she had that I picked up. Which one was it? It was a Hank Mobley one, and it was one of the 1500 series. I can't remember which. Yeah, I'm blanking on which one it was. It wasn't. Was it? Oh, it was Hank Mobley Quintet.
Okay.
If you know what I'm talking about, right? It was.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think it had that cover. I love that cover. That's one of my favorite. It's simple, but it's just I love the picture. It's really a great one, and that one was a reasonable price. And then I saw this one last week on hers. I went through again. Again, I don't know how I looked at this one again because it had been months since I had really heard or listened to it. But I decided to kind of give it a shot. I listened to it again. And for me, a lot of times, sometimes the first listen doesn't really do it for me. And then I listen to it again, and I'm just like, man, I should have gotten this already. And that's the case for this. I was just like, man, I should have already gotten this. And
man,
she had one, and so she had a few other ones that were some heavy hitters. But it was this one, yeah, it just came today, and I was real excited to listen to it. And I thought it would be perfect to kind of end the video, at least on my part, about show. So
yeah, last year. Well, either last year or the year before, and you've been watching my videos, so you might have seen it. I traded about, let's call it between 300 and 400 classic rock records for free records. Saxophone Colossus, original pressing, New Jersey labels, the very mecca of that record. Una Mas by Kenny Dorham, and The Bridge by Sonny Rollins. And I walked out of there feeling like I had just robbed the biggest bank in the world and gotten off scot-free. Everybody's like, you traded like 400 records for like free? I'm like, yeah, I traded like 400 records I didn't listen to for free that I'd love the rest of my life. Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like I hit the lottery. Right. And then Dylan was able to take all of those records I traded him, put them in his shop, make a lot of money, made way more money than, I'm sure what the record is worth. But for those of you who don't know, a copy of Saxophone Colossus like the one I have, shit, you guys are here. Why not? You're here. You're either here or you've already signed off by now. But even if you've already signed off by now, we ain't worried about y'all. We're worried about the ones that stick around. Let me see. Almost. Here it is. Here's my copy, Saxophone Colossus. Original mono pressing, the very first original mono pressing. It's got the New York City labels. I spoke a minute ago when I said the New Jersey labels. The New Jersey labels would be the second. The New York
Right.
City labels are the very first. And so here it is. I misspoke. But I remember the day I got it, and guys, there's not a noise on this record. The cover isn't perfect, but there's no split. But the record itself, when I tell you that it's almost noiseless, I mean it's almost noiseless.
Wow.
And I've seen this album in this condition go for over $1,000. And so, that being said, if you want it, you're going to have to break in. But full disclosure, I'm a Southerner. I have guns. So I wouldn't advise it.
Right.
But yeah, it's one of the prized pieces. I'm talking about maybe like top 5 pieces in my collection.
Yep.
So, I freaking love it. But anyway, that's all I've got to show. Joe, anything else?
No, I don't think so. I think that's what I got.
All right. Well, I guess I don't know if you guys are all tired of us or if you've all given up long ago, but even if you haven't, I don't give a damn. I enjoyed talking to you tonight, Joe. It's been great. I had 2 or 3 beers. I talked about jazz. This has been a blast, brother. We can do this again.
Definitely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's been awesome, bro. I love your channel. For those of you guys who don't know, of course, Joe's channel is relatively new. Only got a few videos, but they're all great. They're all informative. They're all awesome stuff. But Analog Archive, guys, follow Joe on YouTube and on Instagram. I'll leave the links in the information, in the info for this video so that you guys can follow a great dude. You guys can follow a great channel. For any of you guys who like to hear about jazz or whatever from another awesome guy, hey, give it up for my boy Joe at the Analog Archive. He's doing great things, and he's got great things to come. And Joe, I cannot thank you enough for joining me and dealing with me tonight, because I know this video probably should have been done a couple hours ago. But damn it,
That's all
man.
right. Thank you very much, Chris. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate it, brother. I hope you're doing great during this time. I hope you're staying well. I hope you're listening to plenty of jazz, and I hope the family's doing well, my friend.
Yes, thanks. You. Same to you.
All right, awesome. So, guys, until next time, until next video, keep dropping that needle and stop hoarding all the damn toilet paper.